Get into the vibe.
Hi again, welcome back to Cultured and Studious. My name is Elle, and today we are going to finish discussing that argumentative essay. This is the argumentative essay part 2. We are going to get into it, the reasoning through language arts section of the GED test. That writing portion, what does it take to be successful here? So in this video, we're going to discuss the GED essay rubric. It is out there. The information is available for you to understand what it is they're even grading you on. Next, we're going to get to be able to view an actual essay. I'm going to show you what the two opposing arguments, what it could possibly look like, how it's presented. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the outline and an actual response. What is it supposed to look like when I write it up? That's the goal. That's what we're getting into today. This right here is the actual RLA extended response scoring rubric. This is the GED writing rubric. This is what they hold up next to your paper to score it. They grade you on 3 different things. Trait 1, creation of arguments and use of evidence. Trait 2, development of ideas and organizational structure. Trait 3, clarity and command of standard English conventions. We talked about 2 out of 3 of these things in part 1. If you're unsure, go ahead back and watch that last video so we can get started on this one. So many people believe that this essay is out of their reach because they have been out of school for so long, but that's not necessarily true. As long as you know what you're being graded on, you can produce, especially with my help. So that first thing, trait 1, creation of arguments and use of evidence. It's worth a total of 2 points. Your writing will be evaluated to see how well you address the prompt by doing what it asks you to do. Answer the damn question. Your ability to evaluate the arguments presented in the passage. Your ability to state which argument you think is better and why. And choose details from the passage to support your position. All of those things are possible. You just have to say what you mean and mean what you say. Use evidence and details to back it up. Answer the essay question. Trait 2, development of ideas and organizational structure. We talked about this briefly. I told you about the importance of the transition words, having clear communication. I need to get from point A to point Z in an organized manner. That's how you get your points. Trait 2 is also worth a total of 2 points. Your score on trait 2 will depend on how well you develop or fully explain your main points, how you organize your response, and make sure it has a clear middle. Look at me jumping around. Make sure you have a clear beginning, a middle, and an end. And I'm going to show you just how to do that. Don't worry, child. Just give me some time. You want to create effective progression or sequence of ideas. There goes your transition words. This stuff is right here. You want to link your ideas with the appropriate signal words. Let these people know I can communicate very clearly and very logically. And you want to use language that furthers your purpose and shows your awareness of the audience. Make sure you realize, and the way you write, I'm not talking to my friend, I'm not talking to my pal or buddy. This is formalized writing. Pay attention to the fact that you have an audience you're trying to communicate thoughts to, and you are making an argument here. I'm not just talking to my buddies. And lastly, clarity and command of standard English conventions. This is the part that I feel like most people will struggle. They want you to use correct verb tense and make your subjects and verbs agree, use the proper pronouns, make sure you use the correct things like to, they, there, and there, use your capitalizations correctly, punctuation and apostrophes, complete sentences, and write fluently. This is the part that I'm pretty sure most people will struggle, and it's also worth 2 points. But like I said, let's shoot for those other first 4. But this is also possible, especially if you're smooth. Now you know what they're looking for. I will tell you this. I didn't mention that spelling was what they're grading you on. They are not. Spelling, as long as your spelling isn't so far off that people can't understand what you're trying to say, they're not penalizing you on that. So if you can get your thoughts and ideas on paper, let's do it. And I'm going to teach you just how. Okay. So now that we know how to identify faulty reasoning, we know how to recognize author's bias, we know a little bit more about what it takes to write this GED essay. So now I want us to look at what goes into each of these 5 to 6 paragraphs. Your introduction and your conclusion. It's basically an intro and an outro. Those paragraphs match. If you can get your intro done, you can have an outro. Those paragraphs are damn near exactly the same. In your introduction, you need to give context. You need to show your audience. I read both of the articles, not just one. And this is where you clearly state what both of them were about. Use the title of each one. Say who wrote each one. Say what they were about. That's how you give context. You say what each of them was talking about. What were the claims that they were making? Then you have to write a thesis. You have to say it with your chest. Say it loud and say it proud. Say it directly and clearly. The reader cannot read your mind. The audience doesn't know what you're thinking if you don't write it down. Many people don't even answer the essay question. The essay question is, which article was better supported? Your thesis is where you straight up say, this is the better supported article. And the next part of your introduction is just listing out at least 3 reasons why. That's building out your paper. It's strategic thinking, it's strategic planning. I'm showing you my order of what I'm going to talk about, and then I follow through later. I'm introducing the subject matter, and then I tell you within the body paragraphs all about it, and then I close out my paper to wrap it up. I need to signal to my audience where I'm headed. They're not looking for chaos. They're looking for structure and order and clear communication. And I'm teaching how to do that. So that's your intro. You need to give some context showing I read both articles, give your thesis statement, and give me 3 reasons why you believe what you believe. So now your body paragraphs, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3, they follow the same formula. It's another cheat code for you. We call it peeling open the paragraph. They follow the same structure. Say your point, give your evidence, explain it, lead to the next paragraph or link it to the next paragraph. P-E-E-L. Point, evidence, explain, link, or lead to the next paragraph. And I will show you what that looks like when we pull up the examples. Body paragraph 1, peel it open. Body paragraph 2, peel it open. Body paragraph 3, peel it open. And your conclusion comes next. Your conclusion mirrors your introduction. Now again, I told you guys, if you are a good reader, you'll throw a counter argument in there. But I promise you it's not that bad once you know what they're looking for. Give yourself some grace, give yourself time to learn, and time to execute this essay. Now you know what to do. Let's get it done. Here are some examples. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you and I want you to follow along and notice the color changes. You can see where I'm giving context. You can see where the thesis is directly. You can see and hear where I'm giving you the points. So, Argument 1, Hope Valley needs mandatory recycling. A speech by Mayor Sarah Lynn claims Hope Valley should adopt mandatory recycling. Period. On the other hand, Argument 2, Hope Valley City Meeting by Wilfred Grimley claimed that recycling is crazy. Period. Argument 1 is better supported than Argument 2. First, Argument 1 used logical arguments based on statistics. Next, Wilfred Grimley's speech has outdated and vague facts. Lastly, the argument by Grimley is an emotional rant. Period. End of introduction. My conclusion matches that almost exactly. Body paragraph 1. Mayor Lynn carefully builds her argument through logic supported by statistics. Seattle has had mandatory recycling since 2006. Recycling stopped 400,000 tons of waste going into landfills. Recycling has saved $200 million in landfill dumping fees. In landfill dumping fees. That's your evidence. Hope Valley can have the same result as Seattle. Mandatory recycling in Hope Valley will also stop landfill waste and save money. There's your explanation. And here's your link. Unlike Mayor Lynn, Grimley had a weaker argument. On to the next paragraph. That whole paragraph was about point 1. I did not go any further away from it. Point 1 was addressed. There was evidence. I explained it, and now I'm leading to the next paragraph. Okay. Body paragraph 2. Listen for the point. Listen for the evidence, listen for the explanation, and listen for the lead into the next paragraph. Grimley's speech is based on vague and outdated facts. Grimley points out that there was an increased cost with San Francisco's recycling program. He also discusses a study from Cato Institute on landfill use from the 1990s. Another example is he casually says more recent studies to support his argument. These are clear examples of Grimley's vagueness. He is not specific enough in his claims to make a valid argument. Grimley's argument also used outdated statistics from 25 years ago to try to prove his claim. Additionally, there's another reason why Grimley's argument is not supported properly. Body paragraph 3. Finally, Grimley's speech isn't an emotional rant. His word choice of phrases like just plain crazy are clearly his opinion. He claims that the government will take all of our freedom. In his argument, he uses exaggerated humor to say that mandatory recycling will lead to the government takeover of freedom, like mandatory flossing enforced by the tooth fairy. His opinions and choices of words are an attempt at getting an emotional response from the reader. His exaggerated sarcasm does him a disservice. He is not making himself a credible source of information based off his emotional rant. Counter-argument. This is where you address how someone might disagree with you. You have to present arguments against your position and then show why they're not true. One way I tell my students that they can start the counter argument only if they are able to write down words. Some people truly struggle to write down words at all, and if that is you, skip this part. You don't need it. But if you understand and you just needed some guidance on what they're even looking for, try to write a counter argument. I guide my students to sometimes start this paragraph with, some people may believe, such and such, such. Or you can just do it in contrast, because an in contrast is showing how something is different. So here we have, in contrast to Mayor Lynn's well-supported argument, Grimley's argument is based on unsupported opinion. He claims that San Francisco has seen their waste management costs go up, but fails to show proof. He complains that he does not want to spend time messing around in garbage to separate his recycles, but that's not the only way that you can handle them. His emotions are leading his argument, period. So in my counter argument, I am pointing out the flaws of what the other guy said. Some people might want to believe him, but I'm showing you where the flawed thinking is. I'm showing you the faulty reasoning behind his claims. Now again, like I said, that counter argument, it's not required. But if you can get it out and you have time, go ahead and do that. So your conclusion, the last paragraph of your essay. Remember I said it's going to mirror your first paragraph. So there are many ways you can start a conclusion paragraph, but the easiest is to just start with, in conclusion, comma, Argument 1 by Mayor Lynn is the better supported article. Mayor Lynn's argument is much stronger than Grimley's. She uses facts and evidence from recent research when Grimley fails to do so. Grimley's use of vague and outdated information and his emotional rant make a weak argument. And there it is. You're basically restating what was in your introduction. You restated your thesis. Basically, you can say, all in all, in conclusion, at the end of the day, Article X is better supported than Article Y. And here are my 3 reasons why. I'm relisting them so you didn't forget. Okay. In Argument 1, Tattoos, the Ultimate in Expression by Ron Johnson, says that people should consider getting a tattoo because they are good for self-expression. He also claims that having a tattoo will not hold you back at work. The opposing argument, Argument 2, Think Before You Ink by Leanne Podolsky, argues that people should avoid tattoos because they can lead to health problems and many people regret them. Argument 2 is better supported than Argument 1. First, Argument 1 by Ron Johnson is biased because of his profession. Additionally, Argument 2 by Podolsky uses better evidence to support her claims. Here we show 2 reasons. Body paragraph 1. Ron Johnson is biased, period, pointed out. Peel it open. In the first paragraph of his argument, he says, as a tattoo artist, I can tell you that there are so many great reasons to get a tattoo. Since he makes a living by giving tattoos, he wants to see people get them. He promotes the tattoos by saying they're a great form of expressing yourself and a good way to honor loved ones or important events. He is not concerned with giving people the most helpful information, but instead he wants people to come to his shop. His argument is basically a sales pitch. Point it out. Unlike Ron Johnson, Podolsky had a stronger argument to prove her claim. Peel it open. Explain your point. Stay on topic. Don't get chaotic. Stay on task. Each paragraph has a purpose. Another reason that Podolsky's argument is stronger is because she uses better evidence to back up her claim. The only evidence Johnson provides is a quote from a consulting firm CEO. The rest of his article is based around his personal opinion. He asks us to just take his word on things like today's tattoo artists run safe and clean operations. These are clear examples of Johnson's vagueness and his lack of support for his claims. He is not specific enough in his claims to make a valid argument. Body paragraph 3. In comparison, Podolsky describes more solid evidence. She discusses a recent study by Career Builder about how employers would not promote a worker with a visible tattoo. She also provides information from a study done by the Mayo Clinic. This study discussed the health risks of tattoo, a subject that Johnson almost completely ignores. Argument 2 by Leanne Podolsky is the better supported article. Leanne Podolsky's argument is much stronger than Johnson's. She uses facts and evidence from recent research when Johnson fails to do so. Additionally, Johnson is trying to sell people on getting a tattoo because he wants to make money. Johnson asks us to believe his word as a salesman without much support. And that's how it's done, you guys. In your own words, but these are models. These are ways that you can see it come to life. This is what they're looking for. They want you to organize your paper. They want you to clearly transition and signal to your audience where you are headed and where you're going. They want proof that you read both articles by using evidence and identifying it from the start what each of those passages was about in the first place. Keep yourself organized, even though it's repetitive of using the author's names or using the titles, even though the intro and the conclusion are very similar. It's worth it if you're trying to get all the points that you can. And again, the essay almost operates as bonus points on the end. Whatever you scored on, if you get these final 6 points for the essay, it adds it to the top. There are 6 real points that add on to whatever it is your score was originally. So it's worth it. It's worth giving your best effort, especially if you can get words down on the paper. I hope this has been helpful to you.
You never know, she just might let you on it. Don't let fear hold you, don't waste a moment.